Hey everyone, welcome to Competitive Mindset number 1. Now what this is going to be is this going to be an offline series. This is going to be me going through ideas, concepts, and exercises that prepare me to succeed within the game. Now my goal here is to run this series in tandem with Success Through Thought and possibly any other competitive series that I do start. Obviously ranked analysis that is out of the question. If you guys did not see Success Through Thought, it was a 1-episode series that will be continuing soon. That was me basically playing the game as if it were a tournament and being very vocal and outward thinking with what I'm doing and what I want to accomplish and being very serious. There was no jokes made in that series, in that episode. There was no funny business. It was all serious and focused. And what I want to do with this episode, with this series, is run it in tandem with Success Through Thought, alliterate and outline ideas in this series, and then put them into practice in Success Through Thought, and then kind of go back and forth and learn and become a better player, and also make good habits and habitual designs from this series and put it into my gameplay. Now, to start out with competitive mindset, of course, this series, as I told you earlier, is going to be all about the things you can do outside of a match to prepare yourself to succeed within the match. So basically, thought experiments, hand coordination, eye coordination, thought processes, mental aspects, checklists, all the kind of stuff you can do mentally to prepare yourself to succeed in the game. To start off with this first episode, to kick this series off, what I want to do is something that I do in my everyday life, something that I really do enjoy, and if you aren't using it, you probably should be. It's a very effective strategy and something that I use for school, for work, for personal life, for social things. I mean, there's so many reasons you can use it, and I want to go through the exercise in this episode and use it as a competitive idea. Now, overall, what it is, it's the 20 idea method. Now, this is something you can use for literally anything. And the format goes like this. The first thing you do is you ask a question. You ask a question or give a problem, something you want to solve or something you want to become. How do I become a great basketball player, or how do I make my income 100K a year, or how do I become the best salesman in my job, or how do I become a competitive player, how do I join a team and compete at a professional level, or so many questions and problems you can ask. But for this exercise, we're gonna go through one example for Smite or for LOL or for Dota. I mean, literally anything you can do. I'm thinking about making my channel MOBA centric anyway, but let's go ahead and do it for Smite. Now, on screen, I'm going to go ahead and walk through this with you. The first question I'm going to ask, and this is the problem that I want to solve, is how do I become a competitive player? And that is the goal that I want to set out here. And that is going to be my goal, that's my problem, that's my question for this 20 idea method. Now, what you want to do is start off with this and then list 20 ways you can achieve this goal, or you can start working towards this goal or solve this problem. It's either something you can do or something you can start saying or thinking, anything you do to solve the problem. So let's go ahead and go through this. Now, to start off, this will take some time, and I have to be honest with you, when you are not good at doing this, when you do it for the first time, you'll get to around 5 or 6 and think, I have nothing left to say. And that's the whole point, is you want to hit that threshold where the general ideas are out the window and you have to start brainstorming. And it may seem impossible, but the longer you sit there and the longer you think about it, you'll come up with some really good ideas. And oftentimes, by the time you get to the 20th response, and that's why there's so many of them, is that they'll start to be really, really good answers, because you're out of the general basic responses that anyone would say, and you're kind of scrounging for ideas. And once you hit that point when you're brainstorming deep into your subconscious, that is when you're gonna have really good ideas. And oftentimes the 19th or 20th one you put down is the best one, but sometimes it moves around. So let's go and go through this. Number 1, what can I do to become a competitive player? Well, the map just changed, the jungle's different, so why not master the new jungle? This will help me learn the map. This will help me not only be available to be a jungler in ranked. If the jungle's the only role available, then I'll have that in my repertoire. But also will help me understand enemy junglers, when they want to gank, what their timers are, all that kind of stuff. Number 2, improve my support play. Again, that goes along the whole guideline of I don't have all the roles mastered. Support's one of my weakest, if not the weakest. So improving my support play will not only allow me to, like I mentioned earlier, if I'm ranked and support is the only available role, I'll be able to play that role for my team. But not only that, it'll help you understand other supports and figure out how to counter that and basically become a more well-rounded player. Number 3, let's improve accuracy of basic attacks. And this is something that's very simplistic, something that everyone has to go through. There's so many times where someone gets away because you missed a couple of basic attacks, or when someone with high movement speeds in front of you and they're wiggling back and forth and you're missing, say you're playing Artemis or on her and you're just missing all those basic attacks. Characters that rely heavily on them, the ranged physical physical carries especially, but this also goes for melee physical carries where you're turning wrong or missing attacks. It's really important to make sure you land those basic attacks. So that's going to be my number 3. So going on along to number 4, I need to farm more efficiently. That's something that good competitive players do. I need to be using my time efficiently and me going camp to camp, clearing out waves, not losing experience, not losing gold, not being around and falling behind. Always staying ahead in farm and doing that very, very efficiently is going to be something that I want to work towards, and that will make me a very competitive player. Number 5, train self to not dive or chase. That's a big one right there. That's an easy one. Don't dive towers unless you know you can get the kill. Don't chase blindly or get tunnel vision. A lot of times you'll see competitive players, they'll only chase or dive if they know they have a high chance, at least 70 or 80% of getting the kill. Otherwise, a lot of times you'll see them play safe, especially since I like playing carries or magic damage mids, and you generally don't want to be the one chasing unless you know you get the kill or you have a good escape mechanism. Number 6, work on positioning. Positioning is very important, as I mentioned in the last step. The last idea is that when you're playing a carry or a magic damage mid, you don't really want to get caught out, especially ones like Ao Kuang or Poseidon, where you don't really have a leap or anything to get yourself out of trouble. So positioning is really important, where you situate yourself, how you position yourself, not only to defend yourself, but also be in position if your teammates attack to capitalize on it right away. Number 7, learn and master all gods. Now that's something very basic. It takes time, but also people understand gods, but if you don't have a lot of playtime with those gods, going up against them is you're kind of doing it in a a pseudo manner. If you understand a god really, really well, like when I go up against an Ao Kuang, I usually don't lose mid ever against an Ao Kuang because I understand Ao Kuang very, very well because I've mastered Ao Kuang. I'm very good at Ao Kuang. I'm comfortable with him. I'm not the best Ao Kuang in the world, but I know him very well. And when I go up against an enemy Ao Kuang, that means that I have a good advantage because I know what he's thinking and what he's trying to accomplish. And a good goal for me would be to learn and try to master all the gods so that I always have that in my mind. And anytime I go up against a god, I know how to counter them like really, really intimately. Number 8, try to play each match without dying once. It's an idea you'll see some players implement. Obviously, there are times where you have to commit to a fight, win or lose. If you have this fear in your heart where you're trying to back off all the time, there are some fights where you gotta go all in, and dying is not going to be something on your mind. But that's at a competitive level. That's something you really have to be able to commit to, and it takes a lot of time. But I mean, if you have it in your head like I can't die this match, then your play style is going to be different. Your positioning is going to be different. The way you think about things is going to be different. And if you go through a whole week of games where you try not to die ever, and then the next week you go back to playing normal, you'll obviously understand how to position yourself better. Your play style will change overall. Number 9, improve reaction speed. And this is something you can do with fundamental practice. You can go to a game, you can practice activating your Aegis Amulet or your beads, or you can go around like moving or, just trying to doing things as fast as you possibly can, or, just be able to have it in the back of your mind that you have your finger on a button or you're always ready to react, and you improve that reaction speed through training. And there's some things that I can do in further episodes, reaction training, aiming training. I have all kinds of stuff that I have that I used back when I competed in Counter-Strike that improved my reactions, my flick shots, all that kind of stuff. Little training exercises, and I can go through that in further episodes if you guys wish. If you want me to do that, go ahead and post that in the comment section below. That'll help me shape the rest of this series. Number 10, practice item ability combos. This is something that's kind of basic, but no one really does unless they're at the very, very top level. Certain characters have combos that you really want to get off, that really work well together. You have a root stun combo, you want to do like Thor. You throw down Tectonic Rift and Mjolnir's Tomb right after, but to make it quick enough, you want to animation cancel the stun and then throw out the hammer right after so that the backswing hits them before they can start moving. So you want to go 2-1 and hit it really, really quickly. That's an ability combo there. Or, an item combination where you throw out Girdle of Might and then use an ability right away. Or a mirror. A mirror is another one where your timing has to be really, really good. You want to stun, animation cancel, wall, animation cancel, ult. And get that ult off as soon as you can, because a lot of times with the Ymir ultimate, people just casually walk off of it. And you want to be there in time to just blow them up and hit that damage. It's very, very key that you get that off in time. So that's another one for me. Number 11, test itemization in game. This is basically going into practice lobbies and testing out items and combinations of those and progression of items and when to pick them up and what to do with them and all that kind of crazy stuff. Just basically theory crafting on your own and testing items pound for pound and comparing them next to each other and figuring out what is actually best. and doing that to a min-max level, which means that, you know, when you're at a competitive level and everyone's at the same skill level and everything matters, the small details can make a big difference. Now, I'm rolling through this a little quickly, and that's because I did this list beforehand, and I can tell you, making this list took me about 20 to 30 minutes, and that's generally how long it's going to take if you want to use this 20 idea method. And I'm telling you, you won't really know the power of it until you try it. It really has a big, profound effect on anything that you want to accomplish. So I recommend you try it at least once and go through the whole list and don't stop until you hit 20. It seems like I'm doing this quickly, and don't feel bad if you try it on your own and you don't do it as quickly, because I did this ahead of time because I want to sit here brainstorming for half an hour, just saying a bunch and trying to do it. So I prepared the list ahead of time. So number 12, look at the map every 5 seconds. This is something that came up, and you can think about this. This is actually a very, very good idea, and it took me all the way until number 12 for me to think of something. Because obviously the first 5, if you look at the list now, they're pretty basic. I mean, it's something that, you know, if you ask anyone, how do I get better? Be better, improve support, you know, but just very basic ideas. But now we're getting deeper and deeper into this. I'm coming up with better ideas because I've exhausted the obvious ones, and now I'm digging for ideas, and that's the whole idea of this exercise. So number 12, look at the map every 5 seconds. Now, this is something that's going to be very, very valuable, and if you train yourself to do this to the point where it's muscle memory, you can't really get caught off guard by ganks. Number 13, stand further back during action. And this is something that happens a lot. A lot of times you stand too far forward and all of a sudden Fenrir grabs you, or Odin ults, Blink ults, or Amir Blink stuns. I mean, you're just, that positioning is so important, and if you're not up there doing anything, there's no point for you to be that far forward anyway. And this generally goes for carries and magic damage dealers, where you're just standing around doing nothing, but you're too far forward, you can get caught. That's something I can work on, and just not being so far forward to the point where I can get caught out and die. Number 14, go back and analyze games after I play them to notice mistakes. This is something almost nobody does unless they're in the top 1% of competitive play. They gotta do this, and doing this is so valuable because a lot of times you're doing things subconsciously that you don't notice, and then when you go back and look at your game, you're like, wow, I missed that skill shot, or wow, I shouldn't have positioned myself there, or that ward wore off, or wow, there was a ward in my lane in the jungle and I got ganked. I could have totally saw that, but I wasn't looking. You know, those small things that you don't realize. I mean, obviously if Fenrir jumps on you and kills you, you're like, oh my god, Fenrir OP, but then you realize that there was a ward. You watched Fenrir walk up to you. If you were just looking, you would have known, you could have backed off. So basically just go back, analyze games after I play them, and figure out mistakes, and then try to make sure that I don't make that mistake again in the next game. Number 15, spam basic attacks less and backpedal less. This is something that a lot of people do. This is something that I do a lot when I'm playing a ranged physical carry. I'll sit there and I'll just hold down my left mouse button and I'm just shooting. Just pew, 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 pew. And when you're attacking like that, you're moving slowly. So it's very easy for people to do skill shots on you. And when you stop attacking, there's a grace period where you don't speed up to your normal movement speed right away. So you're shooting, you stop, and then it's like a grace period, it's like a second or so before you start moving normal speed. Within that window, people can land skill shots on you. I do it all the time with Ao Kuang. If someone decides they want to use a spell, or they start basic attacking, that's when I hit them with a tornado. Because they will be moving slowly, and they won't be able to get out of it in time. That's what most competitive players do. They look for opportunities, and that's a big one. So if you're not really using your basic attacks, try to spam less. A lot of times you'll see competitive players, they'll just kind of hang out. They'll just float in the lane, they'll look around, they'll wait. They're very calm and practiced. They're not really doing anything, they're just waiting to react to something or look for an opportunity to get in and kill the enemy. They're not just sitting there spamming or backpedaling, and that's a habit that I need to get out of if I'm ever going to be effective at any game I play. Number 16, force less engagements and play less aggressive. This is something that happens to me all the time. I'm just in their face, on their tower, especially if they're playing passive. I have this habit where if someone's playing passive, I'll push them into their tower, and then I'll jump, and I'm just like, fight me. You know, I just force them into the tower. I'm throwing attacks at them, and I'm just standing at the line of their tower looking at them with mean eyes. I just need to force less engagements and play less aggressive. I play way too aggressive, and I always get punished for it, especially in the middle lane. Number 17, find new ward spots. I don't really know where to ward. I mean, there's general consensus for that, and this really goes for the new map. That's what I mean. I mean, obviously on the old map there are common spots, but the new map there's a lot of new spots to ward, so it's important to be able to deal with that. So I'm going to figure out new ward spots, areas where it's most effective, areas where it works out, especially now that there's fog of ward. The wards are incredibly important. Number 18, talk, communicate, and coordinate with teammates much more. And this is a very valuable idea. This thing, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. When you get closer to 20, the ideas are incredibly good. Just talk. Communicate. That is the biggest issue. If I were to pin down the most common issue between top competitive teams and professional players, it's communication. Just communicate with your team. I need this. This is going to happen. This guy has no cooldowns. This guy has no Aegis amulet. This guy has this. There's a ward here. I saw this guy go into the jungle. This person has their ultimate up. I mean, just simple things like that. Just be very communicate and coordinate with your team with things that you want to have happen, especially with the VGS system in Smite. That allows you to communicate without having to type or even speak. It's so good. The VGS system is incredible. So I definitely need to talk and communicate and coordinate more with teammates to be a more effective player. Number 19, practice voicing thoughts out loud while playing. This is something that's kind of like the last one, but much different. It's basically just being outward with your ideas. Don't be internal. Don't sit there and just play with a frown and your brow furled. Just sit there and think about, I mean, even if you're not talking to anybody, just sit there and talk out loud to your monitor. You know, you'll see it all the time if you watch top players. A good example is Zapman when he does ranked commentaries. He just sits there and he just thinks out loud. That's something that's so valuable because you're getting those ideas out into the open. A lot of times you'll think something. This happens to me all the time in my games. I'm like, I probably shouldn't be going here because Poseidon can one-shot me. And then I go in and Poseidon one-shots me. It's like, I said it out loud. Why did I not react to it? It's just like once you have that, or I have it in my mind, but if I don't speak it, if I don't, you know, conceptualize it or make it concrete, you don't react to it. So just speaking out loud and just voicing your ideas and being very, you know, methodical with, you know, getting your ideas out into the open and making them known to you mentally allows you to react to things and, you know, adjust your playstyle if things happen. And number 20, study top tier players more often. This is a very, very valuable one and something that, I mean, there's a difference. Look at the first word of that sentence, study. I didn't say watch. I didn't say play with. I said study. That means I'm looking at top tier players, watching them play, and then analyzing what they do. Just looking at how did he do this? What did he accomplish? Why was he doing this? What are the benefits? What are the downsides? What is, you know, what's his mindset here? What's her mindset here? I mean, it just comes down to just looking at it as a scholar and figuring out, breaking down the fundamentals and the details and the pieces of their play and figuring out how it can help you and how you can absorb some of that into yourself and look at, you know, what they've accomplished and how you can reach that same accomplishment. And that is going to be the conclusion of this list, guys. What this is the 20 idea method. Now the next step after finally finishing off 20, and I'm telling you it's tough to get to 20, but that's the whole point of it. You will be able to get to 20, just sit there and keep brainstorming, and you will come up with some really good ideas on how you can accomplish your question, your problem, your goal, whatever. And once you get to 20, the next step is picking one thing from the list and implementing it immediately. Do not wait, do not mess around, do not do anything. Just basically come in, look at one thing on the list, and then immediately implement it into your gameplay. So the first thing I'm going to do, and the one that pops out to me that I want to pick, is number 12. Look at the map every 5 seconds. That's a brilliantly simple idea that can immediately affect my play. In my next game, I'm just going to sit there and look at the clock, and every time it's a multiple of 5 for the seconds, look down at the minimap and assess, and then go back to playing. And then 5 seconds later, look at the minimap, assess, go back to playing, and just keep doing that. And if you do that for, let's say, 5-10 games, and you do it consistently, I mean, after a while, it just becomes habit. If you do it enough, and you just keep doing it, eventually, you're going to do it like a machine. Every 5 seconds, you're naturally going to look at the map, and that's going to make you, a lot of times you'll just sit there and look at the map, oh, I'm getting ganked, and you back off and save yourself. I mean, that's an easy one to implement, and I'm going to tell you that this is one of the most important aspects of this strategy, of this exercise, is picking one thing from the list and making it happen immediately. Put it into action right away. Don't put it off. Don't say, I'll do it later. Don't do any of that stuff. Just pick one and make sure it happens right away. And once you do that, as long as you're staying active and going through this list, it's going to be very, very valuable. So this is going to be competitive mindset number 1, guys. Let me know what you think about this series in the comment section below. There's a lot that I can go through, and there's a lot of exercises that I use for my everyday life that I need to start implementing and using in competitive play and video gaming and gaming in general to make things better there. I mean, there's a lot of things I do to make myself successful in real life that I can bring over into games and make myself successful there as well. So, I mean, let me know in the comment section below what you'd like to see from me in the future, things that I mentioned in this video that you'd like me to expand on or make an episode about. But what this is going to be is basically just things you can do outside of the game, the thought processes and thought experiments and fundamentals and practices and exercises you can do to make yourself a better player. And then what I want to do is do a competitive mindset and then go right into a success through thought, implement something that I did in the last episode of competitive mindset, and then make myself a better player that way. And that's going to be basically my self-improvement series, competitive mindset and success through thought together. And then, you know, obviously my whole goal for success through thought number 1 was to make myself a better player, but everyone enjoyed it so much that I didn't realize that people would like want to learn from me as I'm learning myself. So I mean, I decided to make this series here. Success through thought number 2 will be coming out soon, guys, so look forward to that. And that's pretty much it for me. Let me know if you have any feedback or requests or questions, or you want me to do something for the next episode in the comment section below. But that's gonna be it for me. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out. I love it when you guys come in and like my videos and put comments down. It really, really helps me. But I look forward to seeing you in my next video.